Hundreds of thousands of Australians have been protected in terms of their health in recent weeks and months. Thousands of Australian lives have been saved when you look at the experience of how coronavirus has affected so many other like countries around the world. But we now need to get 1 million Australians back to work. That is the curve that we need to address.
That was Scott Morrison foreshadowing plans to reopen the Australian economy. I'm Ross Barry and this is Coast Community News COVID-19 update, Wednesday, May 6. Well, as you just saw, the majority of New South Wales businesses could be up and running by July after the National Cabinet agreed this week on protocols to govern the restart of economic activity. It's expected that the National Cabinet on Friday will agree to a staged approach to lifting restrictions to be implemented independently by each state, based on a set of industry-level rules. We understand Safe Work Australia will preside over monitoring health impacts in what will undoubtedly be a complex process. Cafes and restaurants and other retail and hospitality businesses are expected to be among the first sectors to reopen their doors. The announcement follows a week in which many states have recorded very low or no COVID-19 infections. As of 8 p.m. Tuesday, New South Wales reported 9 new cases in the prior 24 hours, bringing the total number of confirmed cases in the state to 3,042. On the Central Coast, the number has been steady now for over a week at 117, almost all of whom have now recovered. The federal government's JobKeeper program is in the spotlight this week, with the first payments due to start flowing to businesses today. The government reported that some 850,000 businesses signed up for JobKeeper, covering 4.7 million employees. But these numbers are significantly lower than those originally predicted by the government, and several media reports have suggested this is due largely to obstacles many businesses have had in qualifying, either because they have not had the cash to pay workers up front or because of difficulties engaging with the ATO. Earlier today, the ALP Shadow Treasurer Jim Chalmers described the JobKeeper scheme as a good idea, badly implemented.
Unfortunately, we know from what the Treasurer has told us today that the implementation of the otherwise welcome JobKeeper payments are being badly mishandled. It is troubling to hear that more than 1 million workers so far that the government expected to be able to access JobKeeper payments are not able to do so. Not because there isn't the need for workers to access these payments, but because it is too hard, because the government is mishandling the payment of these otherwise welcome wage subsidies.
And federal member for Robertson, Lucy Wicks, responded earlier today to say that the federal government recognises a number of businesses need to access bridging finance to pay their employers the $1,500 fortnightly payment before receiving the payment in turn in arrears from the ATO. Because of this, the ATO has extended the deadline to pay employees to May 8. Now, to see how more of the Central Coast local businesses are adapting to the crisis, let's go now to David Abrahams.
Thanks, Ross. While business is down across most sectors, some local companies are returning to their manufacturing roots in an effort to keep the doors open and their people employed. We caught up with Anthony Zabara of Zabara Clothing at Erina earlier today about their endeavours to produce items that can help the cause.
Ironically, 70% of the business being sport, it's cut the bottom line by just over 70%. So we're working on a thread, we have been for the last 6 weeks. And then we thought, hang on, we could be a secondary help to the cause here by making our own masks. We've got t-shirt fabric, so let's make some masks, some face masks out of t-shirt fabric. We know they're not clinically tested, we know they're not medically proven, but we also know that if you put a bit of fabric or a mask over your face, you are helping to assist the cause. So we called it the hands off your face mask.
Yeah, that's a fantastic story, and I believe also you're creating a little opportunity perhaps in scrubs and so on.
All of a sudden we had doctors parking out the front, coming in saying we've never worn scrubs before, we need to try a pair of scrubs on. We saw that you're selling them online, but we actually need to try them on for the first time. So we started selling scrubs, and then our suppliers, who were buying them imported, our suppliers quickly ran out of medium, large and extra large. And then we thought, we have to wait till mid-June until we get those sizes, and that's when my brother said, no, forget it, we'll make them here.
We also paid a visit to electric vehicle manufacturer EMC at West Gosford, where General Manager Blake Shields showed us their facilities.
The business is booming, really. It's a good market to be in. It's being part of such a large organisation like Farley. We have support from that company that's been around since 1886. So we can definitely produce unique vehicles that nobody's ever seen in the market before, like the ones we've done today.
Thanks, David. Residential aged care providers will benefit from an additional $205 million COVID-19 support package. The payment to all Commonwealth-funded residential aged care providers will be linked to the number of residents being cared for by each facility and aims to cover the costs of additional measures to caring for residents during the pandemic, including increased staffing, training and the provision of personal protective equipment. Federal member for Robertson, Lucy Wicks, said senior Australians are considered highly vulnerable when it comes to the coronavirus, and the providers will receive around $900 per resident in major metropolitan areas, but up to $1,350 per resident in regional areas. And finally, we close this week with a moving artistic offering about living in a COVID-19 world called I'll Keep My Bluetooth On For You by Sammy J. See you Friday for 5 at 5.
This song goes out to anyone who's ever let love slip through their fingers. I know she's out there. We spent 15 minutes chatting on a train. I was trying to keep my distance all the same, but she got off without telling me her name. To be honest, it was a little difficult to ask. Our faces were both covered by a mask. Now I drink hand sanitizer from a flask. Then it hit me like a lightning bolt as I arrived back home. I left the COVID tracing app running on my phone, and maybe it could help to reunite me with my queen. All I gotta do to find her is contract COVID-19. So I'll always keep my Bluetooth on for you, though I don't know your name or where you're going to. But I won't be such a loner when I get me some corona, and the government will lead me back to you.